Last night, I woke up to silence so thick it felt like it was pressing against my chest. And in that suffocating stillness, I saw my dog and the snake locked in a staring contest that had known the night I first saw them like that. It was nearly 3 a.m. I had woken up thirsty and disoriented, padding softly into the kitchen for a glass of water. I remember how the air felt, thick and expectant, like the moment before a thunderstorm breaks. I flicked on the hallway light, and there they were. My dog flattened low to ground, his body tense but absolutely still, eyes locked on the snake coiled in a perfect circle beneath the old radiator. For several seconds, I couldn't process what I was seeing. It wasn't just that they were facing each other. It was the absolute inhuman stillness of it. Neither moved a muscle. Neither blinked. Even the snake's tongue remained hidden. No flickering taste of the air. I whisper my dog's name. Gently at first, then louder, my voice echoing strangely in the dark. He didn't react. My pulse started to hammer my ears, and a chill crawled up my back. It was as if they were statues. Two figures carved out of something ancient, locked in a standoff older than memory itself. When I edged closer, desperate to break whatever spell held them, I felt the temperature drop by several degrees. My bare feet went numb against the wooden floor. I reached out a trembling hand, meaning to pull my dog away, and then, without any warning, both of their heads turned to look at me in perfect synchrony. My heart lurched so violently I nearly lost my balance. Their eyes, black and bottomless, held me in place. Just for a moment, I had the terrible, unshakable feeling that I was intruding on something that didn't belong to me. Something sacred or profane, I couldn't tell which. Then, with that same unnatural unity, they turned back to each other as if I'd never been there. My breath came in ragged gasps. I forced myself to count to 10, to convince myself it was only an animal behaving like an animal. But in the pit of my stomach, I knew that wasn't the truth. My dog had never looked at anything that way before. And I knew with a cold certainty that this was only the beginning. The next morning, I tried to laugh it off. Sleep deprivation, an overactive imagination, anything to explain away that unearthly scene. I even convinced myself the snake must have slithered back out through some crack in the baseboards. But that night, when the clock crept past midnight, I felt the same cold dread pooling in my stomach. Against my better judgment, I tiptoed down the hallway, praying the radiator would be empty. Instead, I found them exactly as before. My dog, Milo, pressed flat to the floor, eyes locked in that fathomless stare. The snake coiled in perfect stillness, no ripple of scales, no sign of breath. This time, I didn't call out. I just stood there, hugging myself, feeling the weight of something I couldn't name pressing down on me. By the third night, it was undeniable. No matter how many times I shooed the snake away during the day, it always returned by evening. I tried sealing the gaps under the walls. I sprinkled repellents, laid down traps. Nothing worked. The snake seemed to materialize as soon as darkness fell. And every time, Milo would position himself, silent and rigid, as if compelled by an instinct deeper than loyalty. I took him to the vet, desperate for answers. They found nothing wrong. Physically, he was in perfect health, though the vet did remark on how he refused to look at anyone, his gaze always drifting, as if searching for something only he could see. I called animal control, but when they came to inspect, there was no trace of the snake. The moment I was alone again, it returned. It wasn't just the repetition that unnerved me. It was how their presence seemed to warp the house around them. The air near the radiator grew damp, carrying the smell of damp earth, as though something was tunneling up from beneath the foundation. Milo stopped eating his food. He barely moved during the day, conserving his strength for the night. After a week, I realized with sick certainty that it wasn't a standoff at all. It was more like a vigil, two creatures bound to an understanding I could never break. And in the dead of night, when the silence pressed on my eardrums, I sometimes thought I heard them whispering on the 8th night. My resolve finally cracked. I hadn't slept properly in days. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined them there, unmoving, watching, waiting. The moment the clock struck 2, I felt it, that cold heaviness pressing on my chest like a premonition. I rose, not even bothering to turn on the light. and crept toward the hallway. There they were, Milo and the snake, exactly where they always were, as though they had never left. But this time, something was different. The air vibrated faintly, like the hush before an earthquake. My teeth began to chatter, not from fear, but from the sense that I was standing in the middle of a conversation too vast for any human to understand. My hand trembled as I reached for Milo's collar. I was determined to drag him away if I had to snap him out of whatever spell had taken hold. My fingers brushed his fur, and he didn't even flinch. His body was warm but inert, like he was alive in form but empty in spirit. That was when the snake lifted its head. Slowly, deliberately, it uncoiled, rising up inch by inch until its flat, scaled face hovered level with Milo's. Its tongue flicked once, tasting the space between them, then lowered as if acknowledging something unseen. The vibration in the air grew stronger. I staggered back, clutching my head as a piercing pressure built behind my eyes. And then, impossibly, I saw it, a flickering vision, as if someone had spliced a reel of old film into my thoughts. A clearing bathed in moonlight, a circle of creatures, some I recognized, some I didn't, gathered around Milo and the snake. They weren't enemies. They were participants, witnesses to a ritual as old as the earth itself. The vision vanished, leaving me gasping on my knees. Hours must have passed, because when I lifted my head again, dawn was bleeding into the hallway. The snake was gone. Milo was gone too. I called for him until my voice went raw, searching every inch of the house, the yard, the woods beyond. When night came, I sat by the radiator in the dark. I knew they were still out there, wherever there was, locked in their vigil, waiting for me to remember the rest of what I'd seen. And deep down, I knew it wouldn't stay hidden forever. Some connections are older and deeper than our understanding, bound by instincts and memories we can't recall. When we try to intervene in what we don't comprehend, we risk becoming part of the very mystery we fear. Ask ChatGPT.